So they recently arrested a suspected child fan of the playground ring in Henderson, Nevada. They arrested 8 people. Let's take a look. A multi-agency undercover operation targeting suspected fans of the playground led to the arrest of 8 people over the past 2 weeks in Henderson, police said Friday. The Nevada Internet Crimes Against Children joint operation included detectives and agents from the ICAC task force and the FBI's Child Exploitation Task Force, which includes the Metropolitan Police Department, FBI, North Las Vegas and Henderson Police Departments, Homeland Security Investigations, and the Nevada Attorney General's Office, according to a Metro News release. Says all of these agencies that are under all of these people fighting the deep state.
Yes.
Now they got a real crime, not just sandwich throwing here. Pam Bondi, Cash, they're going to be all over this, right? So they got a list of those arrested, but the one that's relevant to our story is Artyom Alexandrovich. Well, that's a Middle Eastern name if I've ever heard one. I'm sure he's completely entitled to the land of Israel. 38 years old. They all face felony charges of luring a child with a computer for a sex act and were booked into the Henderson Detention Center with the exception of Duncan. All right. So who is Tom, his anglicized version of his name, Alexandrovich? Well, as you can see there behind his head, this picture was taken while he was attending a conference there in Las Vegas. Executive Director of the Defense Division of the Israel National Cyber Directorate. There's his X profile there. Building national security AI for defense, aviation security. Pretty high ranking guy. So where is he now? Oh, Israeli official arrested in Nevada, fan of the playground operation, is released and back in Israel. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? This whole task force with the FBI and Homeland Security, and this guy just gets released back to Israel. Wow, what
Got to do something
happened
about
there?
these visas,
Very strange.
To
Yeah,
vet
man.
people a little more
Did the
carefully.
taxpayer pay for this?
Yeah.
Laura Loomer's got to get on this. Sometime after the arrest became public, Alexandrovich's LinkedIn profile was deleted. According to a screenshot posted online, his LinkedIn said he is the executive director of the Israel Cyber Directorate, which is a government agency that operates under the office of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Alexandrovich was in Las Vegas to attend this year's Black Hat briefings, an annual gathering of cybersecurity professionals. He posted a photo of himself at the conference on his LinkedIn before the account was deleted. Ynet, an Israeli news outlet, confirmed that, quote, an employee of the Israel National Cyber Directorate was briefly detained for questioning. The publication did not name Alexandrovich and omitted the fact that he was arrested. Netanyahu's office issued a statement and denied that the employee in question was arrested at all. Quote, a state employee who traveled to the U.S. for professional matters was questioned by American authorities during his stay, the Prime Minister's office said. The employee, who does not hold a diplomatic visa, was not arrested and returned to Israel as scheduled. Now, you know an Israeli is lying if they're breathing. They just lie constantly. They've said there's no evidence of Israeli guards assaulting Palestinian prisoners, sexually assaulting Palestinians. There's literally video of that happening. So Mel here, good job on citizen journalism. One, Tom Alexandrovich was 100% charged. It's on the county website, and his next hearing is August 27th, 2025. Two, Tom was charged with luring a child with a computer to engage in sexual conduct. Three, In order to be charged with this specific offense, Tom had to seek out a child under the age of 16 with the explicit purpose of luring them from their parents to engage in blank conduct. Who in the Trump administration intervened on behalf of Alexandrovich? Was it Cash? Wouldn't surprise me since the FBI was part of the sting. That's fighting the deep state, man. You know, he should have gotten himself a sandwich there. So here she provides the receipts. Arrested actually on my birthday, I guess, August 7th. And yeah, that's the day of the arrest, and August 27th, right there, next event. So yeah, man, they're just lying. Yes, he was definitely arrested. He's got a court date scheduled, but he fled the country. Right? I don't think he's going to be there on August 27th. I'm betting he's not going to be there. So she provided the section of law here. If you want to look up her tweet, AG Trader says, FBI Director Cash, you let one get away.
Oh, damn it.
Oh, damn it. Now, there has been a lot of reporting on this over the years. There was actually a story a couple months ago. We never got to it. I really wanted to do it, about how one of the hostages, an adult woman, was released, and then she was assaulted by an Israeli. She had never been assaulted while in captivity in Gaza. There have been stories about this over the years. Israel, the promised land for pedophiles, Israel becoming safe haven for, I should say, fans of the playground. But you'll notice the only American mainstream outlet out of all of these that has covered this, or that we know has prominently covered it, is CBS. You can see down in the left corner there. We're going to take a little bit of a look at their report. But this story, have you seen this story in any mainstream news outlets? As of yesterday, this is according to Grok, CNN, nothing. BBC, nothing. New York Times, nothing. WAPO, nothing. Reuters, nothing. AP, nothing. Fox News, nothing. Guardian, nothing. NBC, nothing. ABC, nothing. This seems like a pretty big story, doesn't it? You have this guy who works at a high enough level under the prime minister that that Netanyahu's office actually put out a statement about it, which covered up for what actually happened, just straight out lied about the incident. So you're not talking about a nobody. You're not talking about some desk clerk at the local library in Israel fled back to Israel. You're talking about a pretty high-ranking person working for the prime minister. And nothing, not covering it at all. This report, I'd be very surprised if they would do a report like this now, given how charged the whole subject of Israel is. But to their credit, CBS News did do a pretty extensive report on how sex criminals use the right of return to hide out in Israel and avoid justice in the United States. So we'll take a look at a little bit of this report.
A CBS News investigation has uncovered a loophole that allows accused and convicted American pedophiles to escape justice by moving to Israel. So Ian Lee has been following this for more than a year, and he traveled to Israel for this investigation. He worked with a group that tracks people accused of sex crimes, which estimates dozens of Americans have used this loophole.
So, you know, he's 6'2".
We are on a stakeout looking for this man, Jimmy Julius Caro, 48 years old and wanted on charges of sexually assaulting a 9-year-old girl in Oregon back in 2000 and a 5-year-old girl in Israel in 2001. He's considered dangerous. But these photos are a few years old, so we don't know if he'll look the same. He remains elusive. Previous attempts to capture him have failed.
Obviously, the fear that he would somehow figure out that anyone's looking for him and bolt. He just called his number.
Shauna Aronson got a tip that Caro's expected at this clinic near Tel Aviv.
Who's going to call the
She's
police
with JCW, Jewish Community Watch, an organization that hunts down accused pedophiles who flee to Israel from the U.S., exploiting a process called law of return, whereby any Jewish person can move to Israel and automatically gain citizenship. The ease with which pedophiles seem able to use this law as an escape route haunts victims like Mendy Hawk, who says he was abused from age 8 by a teacher at an Orthodox Jewish school in Los Angeles.
So your classroom is right here. How does it feel being back?
I was very anxious and, stressed coming back here. And a lot of memories coming through my mind.
All right. So this is a long-standing problem, but, in light of the story we just covered, where they're moving heaven and earth to try to put away a guy for 8 years for throwing a sandwich, the fact that this sting operation involved the FBI and Homeland Security, and this guy was able to just go right back to Israel, which, hey, if you got the FBI involved, there's no way you're just going to the airport and getting on a plane without the FBI signing off on this. And these are the same people who want to jump up and tell you about how they're fighting the deep state because they're locking up some poor son of a bitch who got drunk and threw a sandwich. They're not fighting the deep state. They are the deep state. They are a different wing of the deep state, perhaps, and not even so much that. We've seen tonight how Hillary Clinton is praising the moves that Donald Trump is making.
They got more NATO spending. Yeah,
they got more NATO spending. So not even that. But when you look at the level of impunity with which Israel is able to operate, right down to this kind of criminality. Look, it's pretty obvious with the Epstein files that a lot of that was a blackmail operation. They will not release these files because a lot of powerful people, including perhaps Donald Trump himself, were caught in that honeypot, given their long relationship, given some of what Michael Wolff has said. I think we can be fairly assured that Trump was entrapped in that way by Epstein, among many, many other people. And here we see, man, these Israeli fans of the playground are able to just come here, commit crimes with impunity, and run back. And then Pam Bondi wants to go up there with her quavering voice and her Jesus rage and talk about how they're, gonna come get you. They're not going to come get these people. They are counting on the idea that their base is so addicted to rage bait and a narrative where they can feel an illusion of control through the abuse of others that they'll let this slide just so they can keep getting their fix of that narrative. Andrew Callahan, in his interview with Hunter Biden actually asked him what he thought about that. He said the core MAGA people, Epstein is so foundational, they'll never let it go. And that might be true, but how many of that base can be described that way versus how many are just like really frustrated guys, mostly guys, who wouldn't know how to navigate the world if they didn't accept this framing that Trump is their avenging angel fighting some nebulous, hated, liberal deep state. How many of them are really going to be willing to realize that they just traded one face of the deep state for another?
Well, of course. And you also put this in contrast to the other story that we covered earlier, which is the suspension of the visa program for wounded Palestinian children, right? Under the excuse that, well, they're not being vetted properly to see if they pose a threat to anyone here. Well, look at this. I mean, this just seems to be a revolving door of the worst of the worst, from Israel here to the United States, back to Israel when they get caught. And they could apparently flee without anybody stopping them, right? I mean, he's just going to get away with it.
Well, not stopping them. They had to have been aided and abetted by the security apparatus. You can't just get charged with something like that and then just go to an airport and get on a plane.
Right. Exactly. Of course. So, I mean, you really just see the double standard in broad daylight. And, this is so much of why it was going into the 2024 election, there was a lot of calculation about, who a lesser evil was. And to me, the two things that just made me really throw my hands up and say, you really can't even call Donald Trump the lesser evil at this point was, it was, first of all, later in the campaign when Elon joined the campaign. But then obviously the big one was October 7th, because you just saw just how slavish Donald Trump is in his devotion to Israel for whatever reason. And that just made it obvious that this is what we were going to get. And it's just so shameless at this point, where even now, when you have a lot of Israel's allies threatening to defy them and recognize a Palestinian state and conduct their international affairs in accordance with that recognition, hopefully. We will see how that goes. But first step is first step. We are the last ones to just back them every step of the way, no matter what, no matter how egregious the particulars of the case are. I mean, of course, how did this guy get out of the country without help? How?
Of course, they had to sign off on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Pretty terrible stuff.
Please clap.